It's so lovely to see you. Welcome guys here on my Crafter's Companion YouTube channel. Hope you're ready to go for door number 13 of our advent calendar. I'm so glad to see and read that you've been enjoying all of the previous days over the last 12 days, and thank you so much to everyone that's been leaving the comments. I did put a post on Facebook the other day, and when I say the other day, if you are watching this on the 13th of December, then it was just the other day where I did say thank you so much. I'm absolutely gobsmacked and dumbfounded with the incredible reaction that this advent calendar has had this year with the videos that I've been doing for it, and it is just not possible for me to reply to every single comment. I read every single one. I get an email alert every single time one of you leave a comment here on my Crafter's Companion YouTube channel, so therefore I do read every single one. But because there's so many, as well as Facebook and Instagram comments, it's just not physically possible for me to keep up to date when it comes to replying to the all. So please do know I really do appreciate them, and I really do read them all. I just cannot reply to every single one. So thank you so much. I am so glad that you've been loving the past 12 days. We've still, of course, got, what's that, about another 10 days to go, including, of course, this one here being number 13. Number 13, and we're going to delve straight in. Before we do that, of course, for those that haven't already, I would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button here on my Crafter's Companion YouTube channel. Just means then that you'll be subscribed to my channel, so whenever I pop videos up, they're going to be there waiting for you. Or the best thing to do if you really want to see the videos that I do, as soon as I pop them up, hit that bell notification. You'll then get notified every single time I do pop a video up. And of course, when it comes to the end of the advent calendar, although that may be sad, I will continue to do the tutorials like I have been doing previously before we come and done the advent calendars, and at that time it's when we start to use things such as old and new Crafter's Companion products. Sometimes we'll use old, sometimes we'll use new, and then sometimes we'll use old and new together to let you see how you can be using them. So you're going to find them here on my CC YouTube channel, so if you subscribe and hit that bell notification, then that's going to be a win-win. And then if you like the videos that I do, at the end of it, give me a little thumbs up as well, because that really does help as well. And I'm hoping you'll give me a thumbs up when it comes to this one, because it is door number 13 of our advent calendar. So let's delve in. Let's go from up above and see what we've got from behind door number 13. Now, behind door number 13 is going to be, well, I wonder what it's going to be. So I'm going to zoom out so we can see that little bit better. So we've gone up to number 12. We're now looking for 13. So there is 12 from yesterday. So let's have a look. There's 15. And there is, what one's that? There we go, number 13. So we've got a lovely big square, which to me must means it's going to be a folder. So let's open, let's look and see what we've got. And we do indeed. We've got 2 3/4 by 2 3/4 leopard print embossing folder, 2D embossing folder. So let's get creative. Let's get in that folder. Let's bring in a few previous Crafter's Companion items, and even if you don't have exactly what I've got, I'm sure you're going to have something along the lines. That is, of course, our folder that we're going to be using. What I'm also then going to be using is our left fold alphabet dies. Now, don't worry if you think I've not got the left fold ones. I'm not going to be using them in a left fold fashion. I'm going to be using them as key standalone alphabets. And then really going back, we're going to the contemporary heart dies that I've got here. And once again, don't worry if you don't have these ones, because these are a good number of years old. But even if you've got any, even just normal shaped heart dies, then that's going to do the trick as well, so don't worry. So let's take, just let you know what I'm going to do cardstock wise. We're going to use some red linen cardstock, white multi-purpose, and also some craft card. The actual card blank that we're going to use is going to be 6x6. So if I bring that one in, we've got my 6x6 card blank, and that's going to be our basis for us when it comes to the card that we're going to make. So let's move that folder out the way for now. So let's start off with the actual basic of embossing with our actual folder. So for this, what I'm going to do my white multi-purpose, I'm going to take this and I'm going to take square and I'm going to cut it 4 times. Now, because the actual folder is 2 3/4 by 2 3/4, I'm going to keep it as close to 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. So let's go up. I'm just going to come maybe a millimetre or so just before the 2 3/4 by 2 3/4 mark. So I'm going to bring that in. And then for that one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that. Actually, I'm not. I'm going to do 2. Let's do 2.5. Let's make it a little bit smaller. I'm just going to square off my cardstock first of all, because it's a little bit ski whiff. There we go. So 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches. So then, now that I've got that square here, I'm going to do that another 3 times. So 2.5 by 2.5. Bring in our next one. 2.5 by 2.5. And I've got another little piece here. Let's cut that to 2.5 by 2.5. So that's me got all of my 4 squares here. What I'm going to do as well, just while I am here and I've got these little scrap bits of cardstock, I'm going to take the dies. So within this one you've got the 4 dies. So I'd be using the second largest. So I'd be using the 2 mediocre ones, the 2 medium-sized ones. So I'm not using the largest and I'm not using the smallest. The largest I'm going to do in red. So this one, have I got enough here? Oh, I do. Look at that. It's meant to be. Meant to be. Right, let's bring in my low-tack tape. Not my low-tack tape, or my actual washi tape. Let's bring in our plates. I'm going to use my Gemini plates. I tell you what, while we're doing that one, let's just do the other heart as well, so we can do both die cut layers at once. So let's bring that in, and then let's bring in our linen cardstock. Move that out the way, pop that on, hold that down. And then what I am going to do is let's go in with our G2. So for that, actually, let's come back. Base plate. And I'm going to try it without the magnetic shim. So base plate, frosted shim, and then our top cutting plate. Simplistic shape die. So that should work. That should be okay. So let's wait on that coming out. And then if we come back through here. Yeah. That's worked an absolute treat. So there's my 2 that I've got here. So I can pop these ones away because I don't need them now. That was all that I needed, was those 2 hearts. So say if you don't have these contemporary hearts, do not worry. You can use any heart dies or any shape dies you want. It doesn't necessarily have to be hearts. And then what we're going to do is, let's take out our frosted and let's bring in our metal shim. So 2D embossing folder, let's pop this in. I'm not going to do any letterpress or anything like that. I'm just going to keep it as it is. So let's pop our card in. We're going to do our base cutting plate. I like to add in my metal shim just to give that emboss that little bit extra oomph. And then our top plate. That one we're going to feed through. Now, of course, with the size of these ones, these will fit in your junior. Well, yeah, they will fit your junior, but I mean, and they'll fit in your midi. And I've still got it wrong. Your mini. That's what I was meant to say. They'll still fit in your mini. But while I've got the G2, that's what I'm going to use. And then we've got our leopard print emboss. We're going to do that once again when it comes to our second layer. So let's line that up. And because I've cut them at 2.5 inch by 2.5 inch, that pretty much fulfills the actual detail. So let's run that one through. all the way through here. So yeah, the actual folder itself is 2 3/4 by 2 3/4, but the span of the actual letter or in print is 2.5 by 2.5. Hence why I've cut my cardstock to that. So there's our second one. Do the same with our third one. Close it. And remember, flip and rotate each time. So pop that down. Metal top plate. We're going to feed that one through our G2. So that then gives us it for a third time. And then all we need to do is bring in our fourth one. So let's lift that one up. And we've got our third. And we're going to do that once again with our fourth. Pop it down. Metal top plate. Feed back through. So let's feed that one back through. And then we just need to do it one more time, but we're going to do it onto that white heart that we cut. So there's our fourth one. And then we're going to bring in that love heart. And we're just going to pop that in any old direction. Close it. Base plate, metal, top plate. And then we can then feed that up into our G2. And then that's going to be those layers. So we can take that one out. And then we can move that one to the side. So our love heart has got that leopard print that you can see here. So let's move them to the side for now, and then we can pop that to the side too, but let's bring in our left-fold alphabets. For these ones, because we've got our leopard print, what we're going to do is we're going to take a 4-lettered word. Now, because it's leopard print, I'm just going to do wild, but it could be, you know, it could be something like love or a name that's 4 letters, or you can have a little bit of a creative play if you want. So let's do W, I, L, and then D. I'm just going to take my red card. So we're going to do that within the red linen. So we're going to cut these out in the red linen. And then I'm also going to do it within some of the craft. So let's chop that. Let's move that. And let's start to pop them on. So I'm going to do it in the order that it's spelled, but it doesn't really matter because we're going to chop them all out. So it doesn't matter if they're not in any order or if they're not straight. Let's do these ones here. Tape them down like so. We're going to bring in our frosted. I'm going to try them without the magnetic shim also. So let's feed that one through. This should work. It's still a simplistic shape die, so it should work without the metal shim, magnetic shim. So once we've done that, yeah, cut like a dream. And because of the left fold, they will stay in place because they're our left fold alphabets, but we will come along and chop them out just shortly. Flip it over. Let's bring in our craft card, and we're going to do the same. So I'm just going to go in to place here. With our letters, line and feed them up. Bring in our G2, run that through. I'm just going to take a drink. And that is pretty much all of our cutting and embossing done. I'm going to set that to the side. Let's move all that out the way. What I'm going to do, which I'm trying to do within all of the videos, is tidy as I'm going. It lets you see. I always think that no one wants to see me tidying, and I know you don't want to see me tidying for ages, but I also know that many of you do just find it interesting just to see how I store things, where I store things. Is it packs? Is it original packaging? Which all of mine are in original packaging. I keep everything in original. Let's get them in. Let's just put them back in here. Very rarely, many of you guys know, very rarely do I use these dies in that left fold way. I tend to always bring them in and use them as just normal alphabets. So we've got these that are 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches. So let's bring in our guillotine. Let's bring in that red satin card, red linen cardstock again. So I'm going to go, I'm not going to go quite up to, let me straighten that, I'm not going to go right up to 2 3/4 of an inch. I'm going to come just before, maybe about 2 mils before the 2 3/4 of an inch mark. Twist and then do the same. Before I cut any more, I'm just going to have a look, because I just want a fine red matte layer, and even then it's just a little bit too much. So I'm going in between 2.5 and 2 3/4, like so. I just need to neaten that up there and there. That's it. So yeah, so I'm in between 2.5 and 2 3/4. So let's go in between 2.5, 2 3/4. It's fine. And we're going to do the same once again. So in between 2.5 and 2 3/4. Chop that. And then chop that. So there's our 4 layers. I might still trim a little bit more afterwards once I start to layer them together, but we'll figure that one out just shortly. While we're here, because my card blank is 6 by 6, let's bring in some of that craft card. I'm going to neaten up that edge, and I'm going to cut this to 5 3/4 by 5 3/4. You can see there. So that's going to go in the front, and then let's do our insert. Let's actually use that little bit extra that I've got. So let's neaten that up to 5.5 by 5.5, and just neaten up that edge right up to the 5.5, 5.5. So 5.5 inch by 5.5 inch, and then we're going to bring in our white multi-purpose, and we're going to do 5 1/4 by 5 1/4, and then that should be all of the layers done. So let's move that out the way, move that out the way. Let's bring in our tape, and then let's layer up our insert while we're here. So that's also going to create strength and stability on the inside with that little bit, not a lot of weight on the front, but a little bit, because some of the embossed layers we're going to lift on our foam pads. Let's pop them all across with my low tap tape, and let's come in with my pokey tool. So let's line and layer all these up using whichever adhesive is your preference. So that's going to go into there. Let's take that one off, and that can come off here. So let's bring in our card blank. I'm going to do a top fold or a 10th fold. Insert that into the middle, and there's our insert. Done. Let's bring in that craft card layer, and then let's add our tape all the way around. Following it around. I know I say this time and time again, but if you notice that last layer for the insert, I brought my tape in side to side, and this one I've gone all the way around. There's no specific reason as to why I do that. I just kind of don't give it a think or a thought. I just pop it in whichever direction. That we can layer into there and press that one in. We're going to set that one out the side for now. Let's bring in our additional layers. I'm going to pop my tape on to the back, which is essentially the debossed side. So pop that on there. Let's do the same with all of these. So no inking or anything like that. We are going to do a little bit of gilding wax on the love heart, but for these ones we're going to keep it crisp and clean. So let's add that on. That on into there. So once we've got all of those layers, let's go in. I don't need my glue. I just thought while I'm reaching over there, we'll need our glue for the alphabets just shortly. And I've not used it for a few days, and my little tissue's dried out, so therefore it's dried out. There we go. I think that'll be fine. It'll be good to use just shortly. So let's bring these in. Let's tape these down. Let's get the corner there, because it's a little bit uneven with the embossed. Sometimes you just need to catch it with your pokey tool. So we're going to go in. What I'm going to do, I actually want that red matting layer to be a little bit thinner. So I'm going to go up to the top left hand corner and want that width that I want. And then I'll come back and trim that at the end, because I'm going to do the same for all of these ones. Let's add that on into there. Press in. Then add these ones in as well. Let's just peel that off into there. And then we're going to do the same here with the last one. And let's tape that on there. So let's then bring in our guillotine and let's trim off those little uneven edges there. I'm just going to essentially kind of eyeball them, just trim them so it's the same width as the other ones. That's fine. Yep, like that one. So let's do the same here. Just make that one. There we go. Bring that in. Yep, there's that one. Last couple. So let's bring that one in. Twist and turn. Bring that one in. And then last but by no means least, let's bring that in there. Twist it round. Add that in. And then there we go. That's my fourth one. Happy with them. So let's bring these in. And the reason I've done them is to those measurements is so that they're going to fit like that. Let me bring in my foam pads. So these we're going to add on foam pads. So this is where, as I was saying before, the reason I've done my top fold card to giving it strength and, well, stability. And that's because, although it's not going to be a lot of weight, what there will be is a fair bit of height. So therefore, that could potentially pull over a card. That's why you want to make sure that you've got the strength. So I'm just going to roughly pop them into place and get that where I want it there. I'm going to do the same with the next one. We're going to add that into there. Bring that one in and do the same into there. And then we're going to come along and we're going to do the same into there. So there is our basis. That's the base of that one. Let's bring in our love heart, and I'm going to bring in just a little bit of a non-stick craft mat. This was a larger one and I've just chopped it down so that I don't have to haul out the great big one. And then I'm going to go in, as he's leaning over here, to bring in some King Gold Gilding Wax. Let's flatten that out and then let's add that on. So let's tap and dab some of that excess. I'm going to go round the edge. I want it to be, will want it to be a little bit heavier round the edge than in the centre. But what I'm starting to do is I'm just going to have it so it's nice and even to start with, because I still want a little bit of the wax in the middle. So let's just go so it's relatively even, and then I'm going to go in with my finger again, a little bit more wax, a little bit more heavier handed, and then we're just doing that round the outer edge. So there's that one. And that one. Take that excess off. Rub that in. Give it a light rub and a blend in. And then how cool is that? Super cool. So we've got that. Let me take your white. I'm just going to clean that off while I'm here. Now the wax, if you clean it straight away, you're able to get it off without any of our stick away or anything like that. Let's do the same with my finger. Let's take that excess off of my finger. So that was the King Gold that I used there. You could use Empire Gold or Renaissance Gold or the silver, but it was King Gold. Getting that out the way. And let's put that in there. So then once we've done that one, let's bring in our foam pads once again. I'm going to go in with slightly shallower ones. So the foam pads I used for those layers there, that was 4mm, so quite deep. This one on the back here, I don't want it to be as deep, because we'll still need to add foam pads on the back of that one to balance it out there. Of course, you can keep it all completely flat. As you guys know, I say that all the time. Don't feel as though you have to pop your foam pads on to add height, but just about balancing it all off. So if we take those off, that one, and then that one. That one, what we're going to do is layer directly over the top. So let's just get that into position and add that in. And then we're going to press that in. That will go into there. I'm going to use the same shallow foam pad. So I'm just going to have a look. Ideally, so I'm going to put a foam pad there. Or you can pop them on the back, but for something like this, I find it easier just to pop it straight onto the actual base here. That can go there, and then that there, and then there. I'm not going to stick it on just yet, but it lets me see where I want that to go, which is fine. So let's do that. Let's pop them on now. So let's take all of them off. And let's bring that back in to here. Press that in. So there we go. We've got that starting to come together. Now, of course, I could have used things such as the papers and that from the Wild at Heart, but I want to try, although I'm using like the die and the alphabet from older collections, papers and that, I want to try and just use generic cardstock that you're going to have at home. I'm going to go in with these ones here. Now, when it comes to the left fold, you do get an embossed line down the side. So I'm going to follow that embossed line down to cut it out. So there's our W. I'm going to do the same with the Wild. So we're doing it with the Wild, we're doing it with the I. We're now doing it with the L. And then we're going to do it with the D. So we've got Wild. Then we're going to do the same with our red linen. So we're going to follow down that embossed line. There's the I. And the L. And then the D. So there's that Wild. Bring that in. And then we're going to do the craft onto the red as a drop shadow. So let's bring in the craft, bring in our glue. So bringing in my tacky glue here. And I'm just going to do my drop shadow as I would usually do. So I'm going to bring it down to the bottom right hand corner. I'm going to let that grab. I'm going to lift it up. Move that into position. Just with a light drop shadow. I don't want anything too thick. Just need to trim that little excess. And then we've got Wild. I'm going to bring in our eye. And we're going to do the same into here. So lay it down, bring it in, move it into position. Just here, giving ourselves a light drop shadow. A light little overhang there as well. So there's our I. Let's bring in our L. And pop that on. Move that into position. Giving us our light drop shadow. And then last but by no means least, we're going to bring in the D. And then we're going to pop that on, press that in. And then hold that in. So then there's all four of them. So we've got Wild. Let's bring in our foam pads. Now these are back to the ones that are 4mm in thickness. What I'm going to do, I'm going to use them, but trimming them. So I can pop that into here. And then into here. I've got, where's these ones? Save cutting any more. These are also 4mm, so I'll put a little square in the middle just there. Let's go to the back of the eye. And pop that on. There. Same with that one. Bring that on. With a little square. There. And then let's trim our next one. Let's bring that one there. And that one can go in there. And let's just move that out of the way. Then we can finish off by bringing it in. So let's do the D, the L, let's do the I, and then the W. So there's that one, there's that one, and then there's that one. And let's secure it. So let's take that off. I want to get them as central as I can. You can have them at jaunty angles if you want to. They don't have to be straight on. You just know what I'm like when it comes to being quite straight. Let's move that in. Wild. Let's bring that into there. This could be the top of a box lid if you want it to be. You can make it onto a bigger scale, onto an 8x8. There we go. Press that in. Then to finish, let's bring in, I've got some red gems. And I should have, if I can find it, to the side of me here, a ribbon from Stix2. That's not. Okay, so my red ribbon has clearly fallen out. Let me get down, see if we can find it. Oh, here we go. It had fallen out. There we go. So red satin ribbon. But I want to go, so Stix2 do 3 different widths. Let's bring that in. So they do 3mm, 3mm, 9mm, and then 16mm. So I just want the 3mm. And let's just tie a bow. You can do it thicker if you want to. Let's tie that in. Snip that off. And then let's neaten that up. Go in a little angle there. Yeah, that's fine. There's my little bow, which will go there. Let's bring in my glue gel. Let's bring in my pokey tool. So just a little bit of glue gel or silicone. Stix2's again, silicone. And then let's do dot, dot, dot of their tacky glue. Let's go in with the red gems, 3 of them, and then let's do 1, 2, and then last but by no means least, number 3. And then there we go. We've got our wild using the embossing folder. For door number 13 today, I've used my older alphabets, which are the left fold alphabets. I've used my older heart dies, which are the contemporary love hearts. Used red linen cardstock. I've used craft card. I've used white multi-purpose. I've used the Empire Gold embossing gilding wax, and just layered them all up together. Used my additional items from Stix2, and that is our 6x6 card blank, finished off with our insert inside as well. I've done wild because of the leopard print embossing folder, but you can of course do whatever you want when it comes to your letters. You can do it on to 7x7, 6x6, but it's nice and it's fun and it's a little bit quirky. And there you go. Wild, and you can see, there we go, showcasing the emboss. So let's bring that in a little bit closer for you to see. You can see here, wild. Perfect. There you go. And then that has been done from door number 13 of our advent calendar. Once again, really hope you enjoyed that one. Another different take when it comes to what you can do with the folders as well. Nice 6x6 card, but you've got that scope to change it if you want to, smaller or larger. But now that we've done number 13, we now know that we need to then open up door number 14, which is going to be tomorrow. So do come back tomorrow here on my CC YouTube channel, where we're going to open up door number 14, and then of course we're going to then see what we can create with it. Right, depending on when you're watching this video, have a lovely rest of the day or evening, and I will see you tomorrow here on my Crafter's Companion YouTube channel for door number 14. We'll see you then. Bye.